Hello all, welcome to my channel. Here is my first video on SSRS. Hope you all would enjoy watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe to my channel.
Is SSRS. So you all know we discussed on the day one, so while discussing about the introduction to Microsoft BI tool. So for extracting the data from source to target, we use an ETL tool, that is SSIS. And then once you have the data in the warehouse, now it's the time to generate, it's the time to create some reports. So the management wants some reports, some visualizations, like a chart report, a table report, or a matrix report, or a graph report, bar report. They wanted some reporting to be done using the data. Using the data warehousing data, they wanted some reporting to be done. So the reporting needs can be addressed using SSRS tool. So SSRS is a graphical tool which will have a lot of drag and drop options, where you have to write some small expressions and you can create your report. What is the tool we are going to use for creating the reports is SSRS. SSRS is the tool which we are using to create the reports. If you want to develop any reports, the Microsoft specific component for developing the reports is SSRS. Okay, but we also have many other reporting tools in the market like Cognos. We have MicroStrategy, ClickView, Tableau. So there are other different reporting tools. Like Crystal Reports is also a reporting tool. It's mainly used for OLTP reporting. So Microsoft specific component for developing the reports is SSRS. This is SQL Server Reporting Services. Okay, so we'll use this SSRS for OLTP reporting and OLAP reporting. So what is meant by OLTP reporting? OLTP is from the source system. So if you want to develop, generate some reports from the source system, then we use like examples is like your salary slips. So month on month you get your salary slips, right? So that is like a OLTP report. Like let's say when you go for a bank, you want for a banking transactions, last 1 month's salary, last 1 month bank statement I want, you can generate it from the machine itself, right? From your internet banking account, you can generate the last 2 month statements, you can generate then and there itself. Let's say if you ask for last 5 year statements, you have to go to bank, ask them, so they'll get it from a data warehouse. So that is called as OLAP reporting. Okay, because you are getting that report from data warehouse. The last 1 year, let's say last 1 month, or last 2 months, or last 3 months, you can get it from an OLTP. Example, let's say you pay an insurance bill and they'll give you a receipt. So that is called as the OLTP report. When you go for a movie, you pay the money, they'll give you a movie ticket. So that is also an OLTP reporting. When you go to a hotel and you eat some food, and they'll give some report, some bill, right? Hotel bills. So that is also an example of OLTP reporting. Now give me some examples of OLAP reporting, like 5 years of your bank statement. That is one example of OLAP reporting. So give me one more example for the same. As a company, I wanted to compare the sales comparison like last year versus this year, or let's say last 2 years versus this year, or last year to this year sales comparison. So this is like comparing year on year data. For year on year data comparison, we use OLAP reporting. Okay, so did you get the differences between OLTP reporting and OLAP reporting? So everywhere we need a report. So when it comes to your real time, or like when it comes to your day to day life, so everywhere you go, you pay some money and you get an acknowledgement. That is like a receipt. That is also a type of report, right? So only some key fields will be changed, like the transaction date, transaction amount change. Most of the content will be same, but only the key fields changes. So this SSRS, you can also use it for your personal reporting purpose. Let's say you are making some money and you wanted to analyze what your spends are. So you are spending some money for your course, you are spending some money for your tuition fees, you are spending some money for your personal needs, you are spending some money on your children fees. So at the end of the month, you want to analyze your spends, right? So if you want to analyze your spends, you can also, uh, you know, we have to maintain the track of the transactions. Let's say what are the transactions that you are doing over a month. You have to maintain the list of transactions. Using that list of transactions, you can also generate some reports for yourself for a personal purpose also. So this is like very interesting subject, SSRS. So the main purpose of SSRS is just to create some reports for the business management people or the high level management people to take some insights about their business. Okay, they want to analyze the sales, or they want to analyze some products information, like products last year sales to this year sales. So they want to analyze their sales across different countries. Okay, so country wise, region wise, year-wise sales amount they want to analyze. So there are different types of reports. So when it comes to SSRS, we create tabular reports. First one is called as a tabular report or columnar report. Second one is a matrix report, and third one is a list report. Fourth one is a chart report. Like these are the most frequently used reports that we develop in SSRS. Gauss report, Sparkline report, linked report, and map reports. Let me just show you how the reports look like. Okay, so this is a tabular report. Tabular report or columnar report. Like column by column, we are providing the list of fields. So this is called as a tabular report. And this is a matrix report. So rows against column. So we are displaying rows against column. So this is report 1 and report 2. Matrix report 1 and matrix report 2. So if you look at the second report, India, like number of gold medals it has scored is 25. India number of bronze medal it has scored 50. So like rows against columns, if you are displaying some data, then we go for matrix report. Okay, if you see the first report, this is like a retail segment. In the retail segment, we have two companies, Acme and Nadir INC. And retail, this is a group and this is a subgroup within the matrix, and we are displaying some years like 2001 and 2012. What is the sales figures? But in under the retail segment, so these are the two companies which are performing under the retail segment, and in the year 2001, and this is their sales. So this is also an example of a matrix report. So this is like rows and columns, displaying the data against rows against column. We are displaying some data. So that is called as a matrix report. And this is a list report. What is the meaning of a list report? So we do not have any specific format. So here I have some label, here I have some image, so here I am using a graph. So all the different report items I am using in a single report. So that is called as a list report or free form of reporting. The other name for this is a free form of reporting. Example, you take your driving license. So you have an image, you have a label, you have a text box. So there's a mix of all the report items, right? So that is called as a list report. So this is called as chart reports. So this is list reports and this is like a chart report. So there are different types of chart reports. For rich visualizations, let's say you wanted to represent the data in the form of visuals like charts or pie diagrams or bar diagrams or map diagrams, then you go with chart reporting. And this is also a type of report that is a Gauss report. So this is like your speedometer, your dashboard. So you see this is like your dashboard, right? So pointing to a specific value within a range. So this is called as a Gauss report. This is introduced in 2012. This is a Sparkline report. So you see this most of the times when the cricket matches are going on, you can see this type of reports. Like last 50 overs, what is the pattern of the runs scored by a specific country? Let's say within an over, like how many runs they have scored. They can show that using a Sparkline report. A bullet class, a map report. You can also display some map reports. This is a linked report. Okay, so these are the different types of reports. These are just in a high level. We'll discuss about them in detail. Okay. So now to start with, there's something called as a report configuration manager, which is like very important to work with SSRS. Report configuration manager. Whenever you install your SSRS, so all the settings related to this SSRS will be available in report services configuration manager. So let me just show you this path. So when you install this SSRS, right, all the settings related to the SSRS will be available here. Program files, Microsoft SQL Server, SSRS, reporting services, report server. So there is RS underscore report server. So just expand this. So this is your file. So when you install SSRS, all the settings are stored in one file. This is called as a configuration file. So where all the settings related to the SQL related to the SSRS will be saved in this particular file. So don't go to this file and change anything. So if you change this file, your SSRS settings will be lost. Okay, so in real time, when you are working in a real environment, you will not be having access to this file. I wanted to show you some important things. So this is the name report server web service. So this is your report server name and report server. So email settings, report server email. So there are some important fields. These are like the important fields. These are like the important things that we can. What is the report server name? What is the database name? What is the report manager URL? What is the email settings? And what are the various things that you are using? So that will be available in the HTML tags or the XML tags. Okay, so this is the instance, SSRS instance which I am using. That's the instance ID. So this is the report server. This is my report server name. It uses this particular virtual directory where all my reports will be stored, and this is the default port which the report server is using. Okay, so this is the report manager name. This is the report manager, and this is the report manager name where all the reports will also be saved into this particular location. So this is the file where you will have all your configurations related to your SSRS. But the same files can also be controlled from a different location. So same, to work with that file, it is really tough. So for that reason, Microsoft has given a component that is report server configuration manager, expand SQL Server 2012, configuration tools, report server configuration manager. So all the settings related to that SSRS will also be available in this GUI. This is like a GUI component. You have to connect to the SQL Server configuration. So once you connect to the SQL Server configuration, then only you can start working with your SSRS. Okay, so this is the GUI component. This is the server name, and this is the report server instance. Connect. So I'm connecting to this reporting services configuration manager. So the same settings which are in the file, they can also be controlled from this report server configuration manager. So we'll have the same things. So you can see this report server. So this is like web server URL, database, report manager. So the same settings will also be available in the file. So in order to work with that file, right? So working with that file is a little bit tough because it is using a lot of XML tags. Whereas here, this is like a GUI component. You have to just change some options, and then you can start working with your SSRS. So reporting services configuration manager is easy when compared to the configuration file. But usually, as a developer, you will not be having access to this report server configuration manager. So you cannot change any settings on the report server configuration manager. Only only administrators or data administrators or a senior management team in a company will have access to this report server configuration manager. Okay, so let us talk about various things on the report server configuration manager. The first one is a service account. So what do you mean by a service account? Every service will run with an account, right? Through which account you want to use this reporting services configuration manager, that specific settings will be available here. Okay, so I am using the built-in account, that is report server account, right? Second one is web service URL. This is also called as report server URL. It's most important component, that is report server URL or web services URL. Okay, so this is like very important component. So this is like a this will have the report server name. So this is like a report server name, and this is like a web-based URL or web-based component. So this will also have your URL name. It will use default port as 80. Okay, so all the report server related settings will be available in this web server URL. All the report server related settings will be available in web server URL. So when it comes to databases, so which databases SSRS will be using? So by default, whenever you install Microsoft BI, some default databases will be installed in your machine. Let me just show you. Expand databases. So you see a report server and report server temp.db. So these are the two default databases which gets installed when you install this SSRS. Okay, by default, the configuration manager will report server and report server temp databases. Okay, but when you are working in real environments, like the administrator will change the database names. So they will create some databases. So you can change the databases from here. So then the next one is the report manager URL. So all the report manager related settings will be stored here. So this is like the report manager name and this is the report manager URL. Email settings. So if you are running some reports and if it has to be delivered to a specific user, then all the SMTP related settings will be specified in the email settings. Execution account. So through which specific account you want to run your SSRS report. So it's like authorization. For authorization we use execution accounts. These are not that much important. Okay. So report server URL, report manager, these are the two important things. Please focus on these two. Then we have something called as scale out deployment. Scale out deployment. So if your reports are simple and less, then we go with one server and one database. Okay, one report server and one is report server database. Let's say if your reports are complex and if multiple users are using, then we will use a concept of load balancer, NLB, load balancer. So which will balance the load on the report server. The NLB is like a load balancer which will balance the load on the report server, which will split the load which is coming on the report server into two different nodes, and it will balance the load on the report server. What happens if multiple people are accessing the same server? So there might be an issue with the report server. So the performance of the reports might be low, or sometimes the reports will not be generated, right? So in order to maintain that accuracy in the report generation process, so we will distribute the load on the report server by using NLP, that's load balancer. So the scale out deployment, usually as a developer we don't need to understand all these concepts. We don't need to understand in detail about this concept, but we should know what is what. Okay. So scale out deployment is mostly used when it comes in a growing environment. Growing environment in the sense, let's say today we have only few reports and tomorrow there is a scope that we may have to come up with more number of reports. Let's say today we have created only 50 reports for a client, and tomorrow there is a necessity that they want more reports, like let's say 10 to 50, and multiple users are concurrently using it, then we go for a scale out deployment. Okay, so if there are only 10 reports and only few users, then we can go with like single server deployment, not a scale out deployment. Okay, so this is all about report server configuration manager. So when you go for an interview, people will ask you what is meant by report server configuration manager, and can you talk about some important things which are on a report server configuration manager. Okay, so report server configuration manager is some important settings related to the SQL server will be available in the report server configuration manager. Example, report server URL name, report manager, and the default databases which SSRS uses. Getting it? So this is the use of a report server configuration manager. Now SSRS developer day-to-day responsibilities. So as an SSRS developer, let's say if you are purely working on SSRS project, then you will be having some technical specification document. Okay, so technical specification document, which is also called as a report design document. The client will provide the report design document. So it is something, it will look something like this. So this is like a report design document, so detailed design document. So this will be available. This is an incomplete one. So reporting, what is the purpose of the reporting here? Reporting business requirement. What is the purpose of the reporting business requirement? Okay, then proposed reporting solution, and then so this is like requirement definition checklist, business process flow, report names, report location, report layout, report roles. Like what do you want? Like you want a page breakups on the report. Like you want some sorting fields, some sorts. You want to apply some sorting based on the sales. You want to apply some filters maybe based on the location, and we want to apply some totals by country, subtotals by country region. So these are like the report rules. So these are like the business rules. Okay, and finally the report template has to look like this. So this is a sample template. So you should have a report ID, you should have a pay run ID, you should have runtime, you should have the report name here, and you have page number, run date, and these are the fields that you have to use in the report. Okay, and see, this is the data mapping. So this EMPLID, and it has to be captured from this PAC source system and within the system, and this is the source system field name, EMPLID. Okay, so this is like a mapping document. So the below one is a mapping document, and this is the report layout, and this is the purpose of reporting. This is report rules, and this is the business requirement, why we are, for what purpose we are generating this. Okay, so this is called as the technical specification document or report design document. So the client will give you this report design document. Nowadays, nobody is giving such a detailed report design document. So verbally they are telling you this is what I wanted on the report. So please let me know when you can do it or not. But when you are working with clients who are really keen about having some good reports, then they will definitely give you this report design documents. They'll tell you this is how the report format should look like, and these are the colors, or these are the formatting. These are the, like, they'll tell you they have different styles of formats, so they'll ask you to use only the specific formats. Yeah, I wanted a logo on each of the report, um, some specific information for each of the report. Okay, so there are some clients, I work with some clients, they have some specifications about their reports. So they will give some images, you have to use their background logos, the logos on the report background. So the design document should be available from the client. So once you have the report design document, right, so then the second step is we need to identify the input data. So where are we getting the data from? That is basically identifying the sources. So first one is identifying the understanding the report design document, and second one is identifying the input data. When you say identifying the input data, whether are we getting the data from a database or from an Excel or from any other heterogeneous applications, like we might have some, we are capturing the data using a Microsoft Azure, SAP, NetWeaver. So these are the applications, but the data should be available in the database, flat file, or an Excel. So we should identify the sources, and then third step is constructing the SSRS report by using the above document and implementing the report. Okay, so we are going to construct the report. So this is in a high level. Okay, this SSRS developer day-to-day responsibilities is in a high level. So first of all, we have to understand the design document, then identifying the input. Then third one is constructing the report, and fourth one is after constructing the report, we should do some testing. So that is like so unit testing. Okay, so unit testing is making sure that our report is working fine. And then once everything is completed, we will be sending that RTL file. So RTL is the extension of the report. Okay, so we have to send that RTL file to the client. So some companies we will send the RTL files or an email, or in some companies we have a SharePoint server where we place the RTL file, and the client can access the RTL from that place. Sometimes the SSRS developer will also work on testing defects, that is in production environment. So if some new data, let's say the data will be loaded into the warehouse on month-on-month basis, so we have to make sure that the production reports are generated without any issues. Okay, so as a developer, there might be some changes in the production level also. So when the rules changes, or when the company rules changes, or they have some policy of data retention, they wanted to basically change some column names on the report. So that can be done in a production environment, because that is already developed and required in a production environment. So you will be working on the production issues. Production issues are new requirements. Then doing the deployment. So publishing the reports to a report server. So these are like the generic responsibilities of an SSRS developer. So as an SSRS developer, primarily you will be working on creating the reports. Okay, creating the reports. Sometimes you will be working on the production issues. Yeah, these are like the major areas where an SSRS developer will work. The next one is different ways to create SSRS reports. So we can use SSRS report server project wizard. So this is like a self-driven approach. So we can use this wizard to create the reports, but this is not an ideal solution. Most of the time we use the second option by using the report server project. This is like a standard component for building the report. It is not recommended to create the report using SQL Server project, sorry, report server project wizard, because we cannot if you want to do any customizations on the wizard, we cannot do the customization. Let's say if you want to do some additional activities other than the wizard, we cannot do that customizations in the wizard. So that is the reason we prefer the second one, that is report server project wizard. So report server project, that is by using the SSDT tool. So wizard is also available in the SSDT, but this is like a second method. Report server project is like a different way to create the standard reports. When you see the practicals, you will be able to understand what is the difference between wizard and report server project. And the third way of creating the report, that is by using a report builder. So report builder is also a component within SSRS which we can use for creating the reports. We can also use Power View in a SharePoint mode for creating the reports. But in this course, we will try to develop the reports by using the first three methods: report server project wizard, by using report server project, and by using report builder. So this session will be most of the theoretical session, because we'll talk about some important things onto SSRS, and then we'll start working with some examples. Okay. So when it comes to command line utilities, we have some command line utilities in SSIS also. The same way we have some command line utilities in SSRS too. So this is like, you can read it from this book. Okay, so this is like, I'll be just reading through the slides. There's nothing great in this. Let me skip this. Steps to create a report. This is important. So there are some steps for creating a report. When you go for an interview, they'll ask this question: what are the steps to create? What are the steps that you implement for creating reports? So first of all, you have to understand the report design document. Okay, then the next step is creating a data source. Create a data source, and then create a data set, and create a report design, and where you will be using all the data set fields onto the report design, and we implement some business logics on the report design and preview the report. Once you see the preview is fine, it is up to your expectations, then we deploy the report. Okay, so these are the various steps to create a report. Firstly, we will understand the report design document, then creating a data source, creating a data set. So data source is for connecting to the database, for connecting to the specific source, and data set is used for getting the required columns, from a single table or a multiple tables. And then after working with the data set, we create a report design. We construct an RDL file, that is a report design document. That is nothing but report design, RDL file. We create a report design where we will be using the data set fields on the RDL file. Okay, so then we implement some business logics. So there might be some grouping level actions that we want to perform in RDL. So we implement that business logics in the report, and then we preview the report. Preview the report and deploy the report. So these are the various steps while creating a report. So this is how the data flows in a report. So I will correlate with the steps like the previous slide. I will try to correlate with this example. So this is the first step in creating the report. So we create a data source first. So this data source is like establishing a connection to the database. By using a data source, we can establish a connection. Okay. So this is like the connection string information that we have to provide while connecting to the database. And the next step is creating a data set. So if you see, select widget ID, name, stock value from widget sales table. So this is getting the required fields. You want to show all these three required fields on the reporting level. So you are writing an SQL query to get the required fields in the data set. Okay, so we are writing a query against this database, and these field names we are using within the report. So this is a simple report. We are just using a select statement, and you are just using that select column names on the report, and you are previewing the report. So that is a simple report. Okay. So when you are working with like complex reporting, you might be having multiple data sets. So only this is like, again, we have a database where we connect using the data source. We create a data source and connect to this database using the data source. And when we have this database data source connection in place, we might use multiple data sets. So when you have a complex reporting, so there might be a need to use multiple data sets. Like if you want to implement a parameterized report, like cascading parameterized report or queried report, then we go with multiple data sets. Okay, for complex reporting, we use multiple data sets, and that data set fields, if you want to, you will be using on the report level, and you will be previewing. So this is how the data will flow from source to the reports. Okay, so data source, data set, and then we will be creating an RDL file. We will be using this data set fields on the RDL. So these are the basic steps to create the report. So report items, very important, report items. So report items is also called as a data region, which is like a multi-value folder. So these are the following report items. First one is table. So this is used for columnar reporting or column by column reporting. Let's say if you want to display the list of employees working in a company, in that case you can use a tabular report. So these are the report items. Matrix, we have already seen in the report types, right? So this is like same. Chat reports to display the textual data graphically, we go for a chat reports. When we go for a matrix report, rows against columns, we wanted to display some data, then we go for a matrix report. List for a free form of reporting, we go for a list report. Gauss report for specifying some value within a range, then we go for a Gauss report. Data bars, spark lines, so these are the different report items. Data items, so this is like a single value folder. So the previous report items are multi-value folders, and this is like a single value folder. It's a single object. Okay, text box, line, image, pointer. These are like single value folders. Some important definitions. Data source. What is a data source? So it is used for establishing the connection to the database. So if you want to connect to some database, let's say I want to connect to the AdventureWorks database. So when we have to create a data source with some connection string information so that we can get the data from the AdventureWorks database. Okay, so that is the data source, which is required for pulling the data from the databases. Embedded data source. So embedded data source is like specific to a report and the scope is limited only to the specific report. So there are two different classifications of data sources. First one is a shared data source and next one is an embedded data source. So what is meant by a shared data source? So if you create a shared data source, that can be used across the reports. And if you create an embedded data source that is specific to that report, you cannot use that embedded data source for another report. So when you start working on the report, the first step is creating a data source, right? So you are working on your report number 1. So you create a data source. So if you create an embedded data source, that data source can be applicable only for that report. Okay, and then next time you are creating a second report, that is report number 2. So for creating a report number 2, you should again create a data source. Okay, so instead of creating a data source again and again, so we prefer to create a shared data source which can be shared by the second report. That is one advantage. So in real time, we don't create any embedded data sources, we create only shared data sources. What are the advantages of creating a shared data source? It can be created once and it can be used in multiple reports. So the shared data source, if you create once and then you can use it for all the reports within your solution or within your project. So that is the advantage of shared data source. And let's say once you have created your shared data source and you have completed your project development, and in that particular project you have worked on 10 reports and you wanted to deploy into a different environment. So far we have worked in a development environment and I want to deploy it into an integration environment. So here the problem is the database name is changing. So in the development environment the database name is test, and in the integration environment my database name is changed like test_1. So if you have not created any shared data source, you have to go to each and every report and change the database name. Otherwise your reports won't work. Take a different scenario. If you have created a shared data source, instead of creating an embedded data source, if you have created a shared data source, after you have deployed your reports to an integration environment, so you have to change it at only one place. So where you have to change it at the data source, at the shared data source level. If you change it at only one place, that change will be reflected to all the reports. That is the advantage of using a shared data source. What is a data set? The set of required columns from single or multiple tables is called as a data set. Let's say I connected to AdventureWorks database, and I wanted to get the data from multiple tables. There are a few tables like category, subcategory, and product table. So these are the 3 tables which I want to use, and I want to get some required columns from the 3 tables. Then you can use a data set. Okay, for connectivity purpose, we use a data source. For getting the required columns, we use a data set. So three things you have to understand. What is data source? This is the first point. So for pulling the data from the database, we use a data source. Like this is a connectivity component. And next one is what is a data set? To get the required column from single table or multiple tables, we use a data set. Okay, then the next thing is embedded data source. Embedded data source is specific to the report. The scope is only limited to that particular report. So if you want to use the same data source in the second report, you cannot do it. Okay, so if you create an embedded data source, and if you create a shared data source, so this is something which is shareable across the report. Once you create a shared data source, it can be used across all the reports. That is an advantage of using a shared data. So these are like very important things. So understand by the theory, don't worry. So we'll do the exercises. By doing the exercises, you will understand what is meant by data source. So you will see how we are connecting to the data sources and how we are creating data sets, how we are using an embedded data source and a shared data source. By looking at the practicals, you will be able to understand. If you don't understand from here, so to practice on SSRS, I'll give you one ebook. So this is the ebook which I am using, SSRS. SQL Server Reporting Services 2012 by Brox. So these are like the authors. So I'll share this ebook with everyone. So follow that ebook. So most of the exercises which I am doing from the session will be from the same ebook. So next weekend, you make sure that you cover all the theoretical concepts that we covered in the class from this ebook. So let me just give you a walkthrough of this SSRS tool. Data tools, some file, new project. So far we have worked with integration services. Now I want to work with reporting services. The project name, so this is your project name. So this is your project name and this is your solution name. And your project will be saved in this location. So as I said, we can work with report server project wizard and report server project, right? So there are two ways of creating report. So one is by using report server project and by using report server project. So this is report server project wizard. So you can also create your report by using this wizard, and you can also create that same report using this report server project. So wizard is something like a self-driven mechanism where you will have some steps. So you have to say next, and you have to select the options, and that is like a wizard. Okay, so when it comes to report server project, so you'll have a lot of customization options where you can implement many other additional features. So in the second one, so ideally we prefer to go with the second option while creating SSRS reports. Okay, so but for our sessions we'll also work with report server project wizard. I'll show you how this report server wizard is useful for us. Let's say if you want to use for SSRS for your personal purpose, like in small reports, if you want to develop quickly report small reports, and so we have some small reports like some small data sets where you want to develop quick reporting, then you go with wizard. Okay, but for clients it is not recommended. So wizard is not recommended when you are working with clients. Let's say you are working for some company XYZ, and if they ask you to develop the reports, if you go by the wizard, they'll not accept it because they'll have a lot of business rules to create on the report that cannot be done using the wizard. So that is the reason it is not recommended. So let me just click on this report server project first. I'm going to wind up in another 5 minutes. Okay, this is the last topic I'm going to cover for the day. It is creating the project for us, and it is successful. So this is your project name, and this is you can create the shared data sources from here. This is your solution explorer where you can have multiple projects. So this is one of your project, and here you can start creating your reports. Shared data source, shared data set, reports. So you can create the reports from here. So I'll just give you a walkthrough about this tool and then we'll leave for the day. You can ask me, I'll give you 5 minutes of time for you to ask questions and we'll leave for the day. Okay. So This is Solution Explorer, where you can have multiple projects. So this is your project, and if you want to create any shared data sources, you can create from here. And if you want to start creating some reports, right click on this report, add new item. Okay, so I want to add a report item. So you can select the report and you can specify the name. Okay, sales report. So this is the layout or the RDL report design area. So this is called as the report design area. So here you are going to create your reports. This is called as the report design area, and this is your Solution Explorer, and this is like your report data. So to pull the data from the database, you are going to use this data source. Okay, so this data source is used for pulling the data. So for creating a data source, right click on this, add data source, and here you will be specifying the database name, and then you will connect to the database. So the connectivity component is this data source. And next step is creating a data set. And let's say if you want to have some groups, row groups and column groups, so that row grouping and column grouping can be created from this bottom section, row group and column group. These are some important navigations. Okay, so I was talking about the report items, right? So you will find the report items here. Toolbox, so these are the reporting items. Report items. Text box, line, matrix, rectangle, list, images, sub-reports, chats. These are all the various report items. So we had already discussed about this. These are the report items. We have discussed some of them, not all of them, but like these are the report items. So if you want to use any report items, you can just drag and drop it onto the report design area, and you can use it. I have a screenshot. Okay, so this is same as what I have shown previously. So this is like the report design area where you will be creating your reports, and you will create a data set from here, like data source, which is used for pulling the data from the database. And this is like a data set. Data set is getting the required columns. To get the required columns, we use a data set. And for implementing row groups and column groups, you can do the row grouping and column grouping from the bottom section. Okay, and this is like a Solution Explorer, project name, and different reports, and some of the important navigations here. View toolbox to get the toolbox items. Output windows, report data pane. So if you want to work with report data pane, if let's say this report data pane, accidentally you closed it, and this is no more available as a shortcut here. So the same thing can be available from view report data. Okay, so you can pin and unpin. So from next session onwards, we'll do some exercises related to this SSRS reports. Okay, so I'm done for the day. Let me know if you have any questions.